Where's Jamie? Jamie, it's a lot warmer in Venezuela. There's a song, it is chilly, isn't it? There's a song up in Scotland. I thought we might just do something to warm up a little bit to start with. There's a song up in Scotland about old McWensley's farm. And just to warm up, maybe we could sing a couple of verses from that song. But before we do, we just have to rehearse a couple of things, because there are some noises associated with that farm. And we just have to go through the noises. The first noise, without any disrespect intended, because they've got a really tough job to do, and they work for us with our consent, the police. What's the noise that the police make? The police are well known for saying now then, now then. So the police noise is now then, now then. And then we're going to have some trucks. And we're talking about, we were always told by Cuadrilla that we're hardly going to notice the trucks. They're going to be unobtrusive, they're not going to be dirty or noisy, so they just go toot toot. So it's now then, and toot toot. And then there's a little bit of gas. And I'm going to leave it to your inventiveness to decide for yourselves what kind of noise gas makes. But anyway, here goes. With apologies, I can't sing, by the way. So you're going to have to do the singing. Old McWensley had a farm, E-I-E-I-O, and on that farm he had some police, E-I-E-I-O, with a now then here and a now then there, here and now, there and now, everywhere and now then. Old McWensley had a farm, E-I-E-I-O. And old McWensley had a farm, E-I-E-I-O, and on that farm he had some trucks, E-I-E-I-O, with a toot toot here and a toot toot there, here a toot, there a toot, everywhere a toot toot, with a now then here and a now then there, here and now, there and now, everywhere now then. Old McWensley had a farm, E-I-E-I-O, and old McWensley had a farm, E-I-E-I-O, and on that farm he had some gas, E-I-E-I-O, with a here and a there, here, there, everywhere. Old McWensley had a farm. Oh, we didn't do the other noises, never mind. E-I-E-I, a guitar. Oh. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Stobart, for that support. He was. Listen, we need to be serious too. Some of you have been coming here now for over I think it's 454 days, is that right? You've been coming here in all weathers. You've been coming here across the cycle of all of our seasons. You're now in your second winter. And it's not easy to do that. I'm sure you've been taking risks with your relationships, risks with your education, your livelihoods, risks with your own health in weather like this. It really isn't easy to take a stand and to keep taking a stand for as long as it takes. And they thought, Cuadrilla thought, and Cuadrilla's friends thought, that when they came in here, only a few people would take exception to what they were doing. Can I ask, is it only a few people in this area in Lancashire who don't want Cuadrilla to drill holes all over this county? Is it just a few people? Yes or no? And they thought, even if a few people didn't like it, and even if a few people were willing to turn up on a sunny day with a few flags and banners, that after a few days they'd drift away, and that there'd be nobody left after a little while, that you'd give up. And have you given up? Have you given up? Are you going to give up? Are we ever going to give up? Let's be really clear in this troubled divided land that we live in, that we share with each other. A land where there are too many fake heroes. A land where there are too many manufactured heroes. Heroes intended to distract our attention away from what really matters. It needs to be understood. It's you, all of you. People like Tom and Taz and Annie and Mandy and Lee down in the hut over there. It's you who are the real heroes today. The real heroes of Little Plumpton and Preston New Road, the real heroes of Lancashire, but you're the real heroes of our country. I want to hear some noise for the real heroes of our country. Because this isn't a protest. This isn't a protest, it's a vigil. You're not here, we're not here to stop a cowboy company digging a hole in a field. We're here to fight for our birthright in this country, for the kind of country we want to live in and pass on to our children. They tried to convince the people that it would be a good idea to come and dig these holes. And what did the people say? Did they say yes or did they say no to Cuadrilla? The people said no. And when they couldn't convince the people, they went along to the local council. And they tried to convince, they put a lot of pressure on the council. And they got their friends in the Conservative Party to rig the planning system. So it would be as hard as possible for the council to say no. And what happened? The council did their democratic job. Did they say yes or did they say no? They said no! And you'd have thought any self-respecting company, any self-respecting group of people who want to be respected in the community, at that point would have just packed up and gone and done something else. But did Cuadrilla do something else? They didn't. They persisted and they got their friends in Whitehall to overrule the democratic will of the people here so that they could force their industry on Lancashire. And that's a shameful thing that they did. So we're not here, we really aren't here to stop to defend a field. We're here to defend our country, because what happens in that field over the next few months, what happens in that field is going to be important for our country and important for our lives and the lives of our children. What it's going to matter for is, do we want to live in this troubled, divided country? Do we want a country where the choices that are made are choices that are made with us or choices that are inflicted upon us? That's what this whole moment in our history is about. And the struggle over fracking is the struggle about whether we do politics with us or politics that gets done to us. And you've heard the lies. Jamie's talked about the lies. Gail and John have lived through the lies that are being told, that this would be a clean and unobtrusive industry, that you'd hardly notice, it when they come along with a test drill. This isn't even production stage. This is just one test drilling installation. You'd hardly notice it. And they said that the people who took a stand against it, they'd be anarchists and professional protesters, not local people. Do you speak for anarchy and professional protest, or are you the voice of the people? I think you're the voice of the people here today, and I'm proud to share my voice with yours. They said you want to disrupt the legitimate life of the people, the economy of the people. You want to block ambulances and stop funerals going past. You're here to protect this country from the much bigger disruption that an industry like this will inflict upon our daily lives. And then there are the bigger lies. They said, Jamie's mentioned it, they said we can be in favour of fixing the climate and we can be in favour of fracking at the same time. Well, listen, for 6 years I was Her Majesty's Special Envoy on climate change. I may not know, my wife says I don't know what I'm talking about most of the time, but the one thing I do know something about is climate change. Take it from me, You can be in favour of fracking, or you can be in favour of doing something about climate change, but you certainly can't be in favour of doing both at the same time. We're hearing a lot about people who want to have their cake and eat it. And I'm going to come to a cake issue in a moment, but there's always cake issues. But that is have your cake and eat it. It really is. But listen, it's hard. It's really hard to take a stand, particularly in weather like this. Most people, I come and give me a microphone and I'll say a few words. I don't know what it's like to come day in and day out. I don't know what it's like to give up really all of my life like you've done, Tina, to take a stand. And you're not, heroes don't take a stand for themselves. It's why the word hero is a carefully chosen word, and one to be uttered only with a solemn mood behind it. Because heroes are heroes because they're doing it for all of us. And they're doing it for the people who came before, who fought the battles and spilled the blood, that gave us the rights and the decent lives that we take for granted. And they're doing it for their children, for our children, so that they can continue to enjoy those rights and live those decent lives. And it really matters on a cold day like this. And I'm sure you've all had, I'm sure there's lots of frustrations and stresses and arguments to be had. It really matters that you don't lose sight of what you've achieved in this incredible campaign that you're part of, and this bigger movement which is now stirring. Everywhere fracking is on the agenda now in this country, this movement is stirring and flexing its muscles and discovering that it stands for the people and that it's strong and that it's going to win. You have kept this flame burning so that when this issue is decided, it can only be decided in one way. We have almost, we haven't quite, but we have almost won this struggle. We have almost won.
So close.
We're so close now. But to win this struggle in the country, we have to win it here first. As Jamie said, it's clear people up and down the country are with you. It's clear that local authorities, on the whole, are not going to accept it in. Only when skullduggery is active are they letting it in. It's even clear, unbelievably, if you listen to George Osborne a few years ago, it's even clear that our great Conservative Party in this country is starting to feel embarrassed about the support that they have hitherto given this industry. And they probably wish they hadn't given it so much support. And if I was thinking of putting money in this industry, I would think very hard, because I don't think the Conservative Party is going to be with this industry for very much longer. And the companies themselves, those that are still standing, are only still standing because they're doing it by bullying and by not listening. The only company that really is a serious threat to us is INEOS. And look at what they're doing, suing the National Trust, threatening to drill in Sherwood Forest of all places, slapping super injunctions on people so that our ancient rights to be heard and to protest peacefully can be trampled upon. Is that really the behaviour of a company that's got a following wind and that's going to get its way as it tries to drill holes up and down our country? We're winning. We're going to win. But we're going to win here first, and people will come here and remember that this is where the tide was turned. And I'm going to come back. I don't want to be ungenerous of spirit towards the Wensley family, because actually I wouldn't be at all surprised if the Wensley family were sorry that they had made the choices that they've made that have led them to this. I'm sure that when Cuadrilla first came along to them and made them an offer, Cuadrilla probably whispered sweet nothings in their ear and said it would all be smooth and they'd be heroes of the community, and I wouldn't be surprised if they really regret it now. But somebody told me that Abigail Wensley, once said to one of you, I think, or somebody who was here, that she didn't really care if fracking ended up polluting the water because she'd be able to afford bottled water. I don't know whether that's true or not, maybe apocryphal.
No, it was true.
But and I mean, I don't want to be too hard on Abigail Wensley because I haven't met her. She's a young lady. She's starting out in her life. And I would be very surprised if later on, when she's trying to raise a family and when she's thinking a bit more deeply about what it means to be a daughter and a mother and a member of the community, I bet she ends up wishing that she'd never said that. And we have to allow people room for repentance and for forgiveness and for coming together again. But nevertheless, those words made me think of a lady in France not that long ago by the name of Marie Antoinette, who, when she was told that the people had no bread to eat, she said, "Let them eat cake." And heroes deserve a little bit of cake to eat from time to time. So, just to close, you've probably heard enough of me already, but to finish with, I just wanted to, really, to all of you, and you can give this to Abigail if you want. You can either, you're going to eat it yourselves or you're going to give it to Abigail.
We are so going to eat that cake.
Well, I'd like a volunteer. Actually, you're holding a camera, Tina, or I'd give it to you. Can I please, can I have a volunteer to present this cake as a tribute from me? I'm going to give it to you anyway, Tina. That's my tribute to all of you, heroes of Preston New Road and heroes of our country. Thank you very much.